Okay, I need you to stay with me for like 30 seconds before you get mad. I don't think Scream 7 was bad. I think it's just too scared to say anything bold, and honestly, that might be worse. Because I walked out of the theater thinking for the most part I had a good time up until I didn't. But then I drove home and I kept thinking about it, and I kind of had a realization. Why are they so fixated on dialing back to 1996? At some point, this story has to move forward, but Scream refuses to. So, today I thought it would be fun to jump on and talk about why I think the franchise is afraid to move on, and why that could spell really, really troubling things for Scream 8. And I can already hear you guys in the comments section. This is not a Scream 7 hate video. I actually like Scream 7. Again, up until I don't. I mean, Sydney as a mom, that works for me. Focusing a little bit more on emotion and kind of cutting back on the meta commentary. It's bold. I respect the swing. Some of it didn't work for me, but some of it did. Even the whole AI Stu thing, like on paper, I don't hate the idea. I kind of hate the execution, but neither here nor there. Here's the thing. When you kind of zoom out and look at the last three movies as a whole, you start to notice a pattern. A kind of troubling pattern. Let's break it down. Screams 5 and 6 bring back Billy, literally as a hallucination. And now we have Scream 7 using an AI Stu to emotionally anchor us to the past. I mean, I know we all see that, right? Like, the last couple of sequels have really tied themselves to 1996, refusing to move forward. It's like the franchise doesn't believe that it can stand without having to lean on the original so hard. And that's where I start to get a little bit nervous, because let's face it, referencing your legacy is okay. That's something that these movies have always done. Leaning on and depending on the legacy to, I don't know, be able to move any narrative plot point forward, that's less cool. Quick question for you, and answer honestly in the comments. If you removed any references to the original from 5, 6, and 7, do those movies hold up, or do they start to feel like they've lost some weight? Because if they start to feel like they've lost weight, that's telling us something. It's like Scream keeps trying to tell us we are totally over Billy Loomis while actively texting him and asking him to come over. At some point, you have to move forward. At some point, you're not honoring the past anymore. You're emotionally dependent on it, and that's not the energy that really built this franchise up, if we're being honest. The original movie wasn't nostalgic, it was disruptive and punk rock. It kills its biggest star early while mocking horror trends and reinventing them. It didn't protect legacy, it created one, and now we're digitally recreating past faces, leaning on past mythology while failing to create new mythology. And for me, that feels too safe, because Scream has never been safe. Stu isn't the problem, he's the symptom. He represents something bigger. When you bring back a legacy character through AI, especially as an emotional anchor to your film, you're telling the audience, we trust what we know you love, instead of trust us to create something new. And that's the difference, and suddenly that takes this franchise from bold to timid. And I think that that's why the reveal in Scream 7 didn't hit the way that it probably should have. It's not just about screen time, it's about emotional gravity. When you spend your entire new movie anchoring yourself to the past, anything new starts to feel that much smaller. You can't compete with nostalgia, it's undefeated. So when the mask comes off and it's somebody new, the audience just kind of goes, oh, okay, because their emotional value was spent elsewhere. Let me ask you something. Does this franchise trust new villains? I mean, think about it. Do you think that Scream today thinks that they can create another Billy Loomis, Stu Macher, or fuck, I'll even take Joe Roberts at this point? Because at this point, it kind of feels like they believe that the only way that they can move forward is to loop back to 1996. And if Scream 8 does this again, we're not evolving anymore. We are just preserving the legacy of one movie that came out 30 years ago. And we all know that preservation is what franchises do when they're afraid to take risks. Tell me in the comments right now, do you want Scream 8 to try something new, fresh, and bold, or do you want them to keep trying to tie themselves to a movie that we've already seen? And, you know, maybe that's why this bothers me more than it probably should. I love this franchise. I talk about it constantly, and I mean, fuck, at this point I'm building constant theories around it. I care. When you care about something, you want it to grow, not just stay in one place. And, you know, maybe I'm selfish, but I don't want Scream to become the thing that it used to parody. A franchise that survives purely on recognition. That would, at this point, kind of be the ultimate irony, I think. Scream 8 has one job. prove that it doesn't need 1996, create a villain that stands on their own, and create a commentary that's rooted in today. Take some risks that make us uncomfortable again, because that's what made this franchise famous in the first place. Not legacy or nostalgia, fucking downright audacity. So here's the big question. Is Scream honoring its legacy, or is it hiding behind it? I want a real discussion on this one, and if you've made it this far, why don't you go ahead and give the video a like so I know that you stayed for the whole breakdown. Basically, we're starting to unwind with our Scream 7 coverage. Obviously, I'll be starting to pepper in some Scream 8 as we go along, but I believe Tyler's working on some Ready or Not 2 content, which I'm super stoked to see what he comes up with. Yeah, thank you.